What if aggressive expansion was actually just a number? In fact, what if AE wasn't even a number? In today's video, I have set it so every nation in the world has a base minus 200% to their aggressive expansion, so conquest can come quick and easy for anyone and everyone who wants it. If you enjoy the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel and ding that little bell so you don't miss out on dope scenarios like this in the future. Question of the day: what is your favorite government reform in the game? Period. It can be special, unique, for theocracies, monarchies, republics, any of them. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Also, this might not be super popular, but I'm changing up the UI mod. We're going to go away from Platy's shields just for this video to see how people feel about it. I have a banners mod. I think it's going to make things a little bit easier for you guys to see. I know that it kind of clutters the screen a little bit at certain points, but hopefully it makes it easier for you guys watching to actually see what's going on, especially people on mobile. A lot of people on mobile tend to have issues with small UI elements, so hopefully this helps out. Regardless, it would have all been explained in the intro, but everybody in the world now has minus 200 aggressive expansion as their base value, minus 200 just in case they have some really bad malices that would give them, like, you know, minus 60 instead. This way it can still stay at minus 100 even if they have plus 100. So that is my reasoning for that. Everybody in the world has it, and there is no lucky nations because I want to make sure that it is as fair as it can be. Regardless, there's not really a whole lot more to explain, so what do you guys say we find out by hitting speed 5, unpause. And my goodness, Sweden did not miss any time. It is only August of 1445, so it's not even a year in. Sweden has declared their independence war on Denmark and Norway and their subjects, as well as their ally of the Teutons, with the help of Austria, Burgundy, and England. So if they can hold out until their friends land some men, the Swedes are definitely going to win. And since there is no AE, you can see here, if we were playing as Sweden, we can have them grant independence, and you can see here they can take basically whatever they want. Now, there is a base aggressive expansion, but taking all of this, including their capital, is 9 AE. And sadly, since the British decided to give up Maine because they're in this war over here, we won't see the 100 Years' War this time around, or at least not the continuation of it. For the time being, I guess it's over. But, you know, we'll see how it goes once France decides they want to take them. If they can take some land on mainland Britain, that would be good for them, but that means they're going to have to land somebody. So probably not going to see a whole lot of action over here involving France and England, at least. And as I say that, France declares war on Burgundy, sensing blood in the water because Burgundy has lost some men up here in Denmark. And now France is attacking them and probably going to actually steamroll them, considering the fact that they outnumber them almost 2-1, and Burgundy is a solo diplomatically. That's pretty bad. But yeah, AE, they're going to be able to take a lot of land. So I said it wasn't going to be interesting. The lie detector test determined that that was a lie. And there it is, Sweden getting their independence, but more importantly, taking a lot of land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 provinces between Norway and Denmark. Pretty good. And when you look at the aggressive expansion map mode, even with these guys, they only have 3. It's basically free land. They just have to pay to core it, of course. Early on, admin mana is going to be what limits a lot of expansion, as well as you know, peace deals. People can only take so many land depending on the development of those provinces. But the AE is not going to be an issue, so coalitions won't exist. So it looks like nations that are winning will be able to just win harder. Yeah. It's pretty good. They took most of Burgundy, and they took some land up here in whatever Flanders / what is this area, Picardy. So yeah, looking pretty good. France just got quite a bit stronger in terms of development. Look at all this land down here and up here, a lot of development. And again, very little AE, 6 with Lorraine, 4 with Provence. So that is going to be an interesting thing we're going to have to keep an eye on. And Byzantium already getting kicked out of Constantinople by the Turks, now getting kicked out of this area down here by the Venetians. Rest in peace, Byzantium. And with AE being so insignificant, I think we're going to see a lot more stuff like this. A united Pomerania, which means at least one nation conquered another, but then pushing all the way over here westwards, annexing the entirety of Mecklenburg. And it's all inside of the HRE, meaning it cost, I think, double aggressive expansion, but it doesn't matter because they don't have aggressive expansion. Also, I got a question for you guys. When you look at Thuringia, do you see anything? Does this remind you of anything when you look at this nation right here? Right here? It appears that in this universe, Albania is indeed Serbia. But you also have to keep in mind that northern Serbia, as well as the entirety of Bosnia, is Austrian. So last time there were Austrians in Bosnia and Serbia, some weird things happened. So like bam, 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 Austria inherited the PU of Hungary, who inherited Croatia as well as Mazovia over here, or not Mazovia, what is this? Moldavia, I'm sorry. But then they went to war with Poland because they had a claim up here. I don't know how they have this land. They also have Dithmarschen, So like, I don't understand where they're getting all of this land from, but they attacked and annexed a ton of land from Poland over there, as well as all of this land over here. And again, very little to no AE, zero, literally zero. So Austria definitely doing pretty well. You can see here they are the number 3 great power, and France is the number 2. So those guys have already risen the ranks. Poland is looking pretty sad, but when we tab into Bohemia here, you're going to see it looks even more interesting. Poland just got PU'd by them. They did not take the Lithuanian PU, and now they are personal union of Bohemia. They hate them, and so they're very disloyal, but they're protected by Bohemia now, so that's something to keep in mind. Meanwhile, out in China, Ming has lost some land to the Oirat, and it looks like a bunch of wars going on, but nothing really too crazy, though it does look like Japan is actually getting united pretty quickly this time around. There's only like 5 or 6 different nations in the Japanese islands. Timmy is doing okay over here, though Shahrukh has died, of course, and his subjects are very disloyal, but they continue to push the conquest, so maybe they can form the Mughals. Who knows? Ottomans have pushed into the Crimea, as well as annexed Dalkadir over here, as well as most of Karaman, and they are at war with AQ right now, so clearly they're going to be fighting with the Mams and the QQ pretty soon. And poor Aragon has lost some land over here to Castile, but don't worry, they've gained some land down here from Granada. Currently no personal union there, in fact rivaled to Castile and excommunicated, so not looking too good for Aragon either. And after their most recent war, it looks like Norway is independent. They even own the funny province of Lolland, because it's funny, right? Haha, Lolland. Yeah, Denmark has been annexed by the Swedes. Swedes looking very good. They have Gustav Adolf Vasa, 17-year-old 134 as their heir. I don't think he's related to Gustavus Adolphus, though this may actually be who it is. I really don't know. It could be events bond. But yeah, Sweden having a very good opening, and with all of the land that they're taking up here, they're already working their way over into Russia. Lots of development they could be consolidating. And yeah, since there's so little dev up here, everybody is basically just declaring war on each other in Manchuria and then just full annexing the other person, because like it's like 10 3-dev provinces. So you just have these big blobs out here. So that's pretty funny. And despite Castile not taking any idea groups yet, Portugal and England both have taken exploration. But Castile has a queen who's only 26, young Juana over here. So looks like the Iberian wedding very well may happen. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happened within the next 2 or 3 years. Meanwhile, Cabo Verde over here has been colonized by the Portuguese, and they have made their way down into Brazil. They're the only 2 colonies that exist in the world that I'm aware of. Yo, the leader of Pomerania's name is Bogus Law. Sounds like an American to me. And 40 years in, France is dominating. They have Provence and Nice down here. They pushed all the way into Luxembourg, up into Flanders, and now they are pushing into Brittany. Probably going to take some land from Castile. I would be surprised if they didn't. And they're also allied to a very strong Venice, who has pushed all the way over into Nice as well. So Venice having a very good game, as well as their ally of France. And then up to the north here, you have England, who is probably going to be annexing the rest of the Isles, if I had to guess. Also, the Otto Blob has pushed their way into Italy, taking quite a few provinces, but currently these provinces are all occupied by Neapolitan separatists, so they may not stick around. But either way, the fact that they're over here this early says a lot. And this just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Poland and Bohemia under new management, because Austria has pushed a personal union on Bohemia, who is the leader of Poland as well. So yeah, this is all Austria. At least they control or in charge of it all. Also, how cool is it? We have a Zaporozhye that's popped out over here. I think they popped out of rebels from Crimea or something like that. But look at this unit model. That's sick. He's even got the Cossacks unit model. If you guys are ever interested in some old school entertainment, look up the Cossacks letter to the Sultan. Very much worth the read. And now it is Muscovy's turn to catch some hands, with Sweden attacking them, calling in their ally of Austria, Hungary, Bohemia, Poland to destroy them. So yeah, Muscovy absolutely getting dominated. They are mostly occupied, at least all of their development is, and probably not going to do well after this. I assume they're going to start spiraling, especially if the steppe hordes decide to intervene as well. We are well past admin tech 10, so we have a united Great Britain, a France that is mostly united, minus a couple of provinces to the English. But if we look over into Germany and past, that is where things start to get a little bit interesting. Austria has integrated Hungary and Poland with a very disloyal Bohemia, but if we look up to the north, Pomerania formed Prussia. And funnily enough, Prussia was actually a PU under Brandenburg for a while. They just broke free recently, and they are definitely in a good position, but they are sandwiched between Austria and Sweden, who are the number 1 and number 2 great powers of the world respectively. At least they were last time I looked. It turns out Great Britain has actually taken that spot, but as soon as the Ottomans embrace this institution, they will be back in the number 1 spot. However, Austria, Sweden are the 2 and 3, with France in the 5th, Portugal in the 6th, Bengal in the 7th, and then Venice actually eking out the 8th spot with a little under 1,000 development, so that's pretty respectable. And holy Bengal Batman, that is a massive Bengal, a very, very big boy, all the way over into Vietnam, southern China, Tibet, looking good. Splitting part of the Indian subcontinent with Vijay, Balmanis, the usual guys, but how about that Mewar looking incredibly good? And as many of you guys may know, Mewar never changes. We have Fars that has reached across the sea over into Bahrain, as well as Hormuz, with a kind of a weird color, in my opinion. I feel like this color should be yellow. Fars should be yellow, and you can't change my mind. Ethiopia doing well in the Horn of Africa, pushing down into Kilwa, currently full occupying them for the most part. The British have made their way into the Congo, and the Congo have been pushed into the Congo with Kasanji, which has one of the coolest flags in EU4, in my opinion. Hanging out here, still hanging on, doing all right. Meanwhile, sub-Saharan Africa is almost exclusively Songhai, looking very good. Songhai got a huge buff with the Origins flavor pack, so yeah, no surprise that they are doing well. And speaking of doing well, how about Aragon? Absolutely just dunking on Castile over and over and over and over again. And Castile only has a couple of provinces overseas over here in colonial Colombia, I believe, or colonial Venezuela. I think it is Colombia is the region. Meanwhile, Portugal is in Brazil, French is in La Plata and Peru, and Mexico is British, as is Louisiana, as is the 13 colonies, but we can't forget about Swedish Virginia. That is a thing. And then Newfoundland is also a British colony up in the north. The Caribbean is almost exclusively Portuguese, with Puerto Rico speaking French this time. So, all right. And you may look at the Mamluks name placement and think, wow, they're doing pretty good. And then you look up here and you see, oh, wait, oh, yeah. So yeah, Mam's not doing well. Ottomans doing okay, but they are surrounded by a bunch of people that are champing at the bit, as people say. But yes, the Protestant Reformation is well underway with the Anglican Church on the British Isles. Protestantism almost exclusively in Sweden / Norway, Scandinavia, the Baltic region, and northern Germany and Denmark. And then Reformed is speckled throughout the rest of Germany and Switzerland in this area, a couple of random places in Italy, I guess. But aside from that, Catholic is still doing pretty good. So the New World is Catholic and Anglican for the most part, but South America is mostly Catholic, with the Caribbean also being Catholic. And Austria absolutely getting dumpstered. If you can't tell, Bohemia said nay and broke free from their personal union. So you can say hello to the new and improved Duke ALS Gamer with his air of just some nerd. And if you guys don't know who those people are, they are either patrons or channel members, either chimps or the homies, because moving forward, I am going to be including those people into the list of leaders' names. And so that way people who support the channel can get a little bit of recognition in the videos outside of just the end screen. Something a little fun to give back to the people who give to me. And if you want to support, you can join the Patreon linked in the description, or click the join button below the video and become one of the homies. They get early access to every video that comes out on this channel, and they also get exclusive Discord roles and chats. So consider checking that out if it appeals to you. And just a few short decades later, Austria ain't doing so well, though everyone around them seems to be doing quite well. Look at Mainz over here. This is literally like lesser Germany right here. Mainz, theocracy in 1444. So that's pretty cool. Brandenburg has like 1444 borders, plus or minus a couple of provinces. The Netherlands have popped out and they're doing very well, actually pushing into Sweden, like occupying lands in Sweden. This is a wacky one, man. France has essentially not grown at all, except for taking a couple of provinces in the Italian peninsula. Venice hasn't grown a whole lot in Italy, but has grown a ton in Egypt. Sweden has grown well out into the east, and Bengal has grown literally everywhere. China and Japan are a disgusting mess, with Korea maintaining absolute beautiful perfect borders over here, minus this one province over here in Manchuria. We have Malacca, who has united the majority of the development over here in Malaysia and Indonesia. Ethiopia still exists and has actually pushed quite a bit down to the south, touching tips in quite a few places with the British, who have taken over the majority of the land in Africa with Kilwa. in South Africa now. South America is a continuation of what it was before, with Portugal in Brazil, France in the rest, and then Castile up here in colonial Colombia with 4 provinces, the same as they did before. Same thing in the Caribbean, but British Mexico looking very good, as well as British Louisiana, New Portugal, New Sweden, 13 colonies, and Newfoundland. But then you take a look over here, and there we go. We've got it. Do I even need to make the joke? The religious map is just more of the same, though it definitely looks like the Catholics have come out on top for the most part. And it's really cool to see Muslim nations actually converting, because they didn't used to do it until this patch. You can see quite a bit of Islam over here in the islands as well as in southern China. So that's pretty cool. Also Coptic pushing well down into East Africa. And again, the New World, mostly Catholic in the south and mostly Anglican up here in the north. And when it's all said and done, it turns out that this was a very, very revolutionary game of EU4. Not only did nations not have aggressive expansion, but it doesn't look like the revolution did either, with revolutionary Great Britain and their feminist flag in the #1 spot, followed very, very closely by Bengal and Portugal, tied with a 4,200 development. Then Prussia, revolutionary Prussia, with 3,300, followed immediately by Westphalia. So we're going to take a look at these things. In the 6th spot, we have Mewar with France in 7th. Despite doing literally nothing impressive, France still finishes in the top 8 because France is overpowered. And then Kedah, Southeast Asian nation, in the 8th spot. So let's take a look. The Iberian Peninsula continues to be really weird looking, and France decided to migrate into Italy because Portugal and Great Britain were pushing them out, and they were probably feeling the squeeze from that very big and very beefy Westphalia, making up the majority of the development of like northern Italy over into Croatia and Germany, as well as parts of the lowlands. It's very cool. There is a revolutionary Turkey here, but they are getting squeezed between Venetian Egypt and Prussian Anatolia. We have revolutionary Serbia here as well, right next to revolutionary city of Hunyad, which was a trade city released by Venice a while back, and they are a prince in the HRE, so it's just all around very weird to see this. But yeah, they exist. Though I have to say, I think the Balkans look just as messy in this timeline as they do in real life. But yes, there is some very big, very impressive looking tags in the region. And then you look over here and you say, oh my goodness, Mewar really does never change. Except for this time, they did change. In terms of borders, they got a lot bigger. Someone else who got very big is right next to them, Bengal. Absolutely massive. Hilariously, Korea maintains the borders. I can't believe it. Like, I don't understand how the AI manages to like never lose the borders as Korea. They always maintain North-South Korea borders. It's so cool. Hilariously, Scandinavia was pushed into Siberia. They were sent to the gulags. And as I mentioned over here in Southeast Asia, Kedah, somehow the 8th great power with this. This is it. Lots of development in the region. We have Portuguese Australia over here with Portuguese Australia over here. And South America just filled in, though some of the French colonies over here on the west portions of South America are Portuguese now. And up in the north, British got Mexico as well as the east coast as well as Canada. And then Portugal got the central portions, and the west coast, except for Louisiana, went mostly to the British. And then Prussian Canada. I almost missed Prussian Canada. Don't miss Prussian Canada. I remember I was reading a thing one time where they said that Portuguese sounds like somebody speaking Spanish with a Russian accent. And I think that's really funny because it's like, as an English speaker, that is what it sounds like to me. The religious map mode, as I said before, Catholic wins. I would say Catholic wins, though Coptic did really well, with revolutionary Ethiopia getting most of the development in Arabia as well as the eastern portion of Africa. So good on them. South America is all Catholic. North America is split between Catholics and Anglicans. And of course, Prussian Canada is Protestant. Though I'm pretty sure this region up here is called Nunavut in real life. I'm almost positive that this is called Nunavut. And the reason why they call it that is because if you had to guess how much of it was hospitable, the answer might surprise you. It looks as if the German cultures have spread a bit, pushing a bit north, a bit into the Czech lands, as well as a bit into the Polish lands, and Baltan over here pushing into the Baltic region. A few random Occitan provinces pushing into northern Iberia as well as northern Italy. And how about that Vietnamese culture? South China. Basically, all of the Canton region is Vietnamese. People in Hong Kong saying that the trees are speaking Vietnamese. Not really seeing anything else over here. And it definitely looks like Kurdistan has grown, as has Azerbaijan. That's a very impressive looking Azerbaijani culture group. Meanwhile, this like Western Aryan culture has pushed the Baluchi out of Baluchistan. And for the first time in a very long time, if not ever, Brazilian culture exists primarily in Brazil in my EU4 campaigns. And then the game ruins it by having La Plata and Colombia French. This right here is why we can't have nice things. American culture is widespread throughout the North American continent, namely down here in like Nicaragua and Panama. And Portuguese is pretty prominent up here in the western portions, as well as this random little strip going all the way from like, what is this, Alabama all the way up into Canada. And then Prussian in Canada. And then one province in Texas. Apparently there's a lot of German speakers in this one region in Texas. This is like Houston. And of course, Swedish Virginia looking good as ever. A very fun run. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. If you have a suggestion of like modifiers that you would like to see tried out as far as base modifiers goes, I think that this proves that we can definitely have some fun with those sorts of modifiers. If you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure you like the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because you are missing out on a ton of content if you're not subscribed. And as I said before, if you want early access to the videos, become one of the homies. Click the join button below the video or support me on my Patreon, linked in the description. And that's all I got for you. Special thanks to ALS Gamer, Legrand Puba, Chio, Josh Kopczynski, Adrian Rhino, Blonde Damon, Cannon Fodder, and many more. If you want to see your name here and early access to these videos, check out the join button below the video or the Patreon linked in the description.